And with that, we'll jump on into chapter 21.
Awesome. Chapter 21, The Rules of Combat, opens up with Volke and Zelfree having a discussion about the runestones and how the thief is going to get them. Zelfree's of the mind that they shouldn't tell the queen because she's already autocratic and she will try and dictate who bonds with them, and that will probably not benefit the broader world. And part of their plan to figure this out is to use the Gala, which is where he expects something to happen, and his plan is to mimic Adelgis so that he can actually go around the Gala, read everyone's thoughts, and try and figure out who's the thief and who's just a regular arcanist. Volke starts to get some sparring practice with Zelfree, and the one positive that he starts to notice is that his second bonding magic isn't hurting as much. So this is something we've seen throughout the books. He's slowly becoming more and more connected, for lack of a better term. So his magic is hurting him less and less. He's able to use it for longer periods of time, which is very helpful. The big piece of this sparring that they get into is Zelfree starts to teach Volke about using information to his advantage. When they spar, Volke uses this and notices Zelfree has a foot injury. So when he's sparring, he kind of forces Zelfree to put his weight on it, ends up cutting his tunic and revealing a bunch of scars on his body.
I was kind of curious, like, why did Volke decide to cut his shirt and his tunic, and like, what was he trying to accomplish out of that?
I'm not sure. It seemed almost like he was teasing him, which is usually something the master does to the apprentice. So this feels like it would have just pissed Zelfree off, but it seems to have worked, and he at least felt good that he was making contact. The next part, he actually does make a lot bigger contact. He forces Zelfree to really pivot off that back foot and is able to cut his arm, which is something he's never done before. So he has a small little victory there in his sparring.
You know, of all the things, Volke is like the fastest learner when it comes to combat and learning his magic, that kind of thing. Like, granted, it took him a while to get the augmentation figured out or be able to pass on his night vision, but Volke's been like, hey, as soon as we've gone over something or I've given you some notice of something, he catches on pretty dang quick.
Yeah, he's really able to put everything that he's learned into practice, which I think is the key to being exceptional, because there's going to be so much information coming at him. So being able to take that and learn from it is the fastest way to greatness. The last test that they do with the sparring is they actually want to test Volke's shield. It's made again with that world serpent scale, so they don't really know all the properties of it. So what Zelfree does is he mimics a will-o-wisp because they're so strong and frightening, and pushes a little bit of fire out, and the shield actually reflects that back at him. And I just picture this as like the mirror shield, or you know, the reflectors from like Super Smash Brothers.
Like, it is straight up the mirror shield from Legend of Zelda. Imagine if it was something other than just will-o-wisp magic, though.
Something powerful.
Wait, didn't we say that the will-o-wisp was so strong and powerful, though?
Yes. That's why they're the guards to the city. They give them the keys to the palace.
Just want to remind everybody that we post our new episodes every Wednesday morning around 11 Eastern, 10 o'clock Central, and for those that are out in Pacific, 8 o'clock Pacific Standard. We're on all podcasting platforms, and if you haven't already switched over to YouTube Music, then you definitely need to get that done, because Google Podcasts is going to no longer be a thing. We are on YouTube as well for video, and we want to thank our editor, Dan Mackison, for including pictures and links to everything. If you do want to reach out to us on Gmail, we're at frithguildpod@gmail.com. We're on Facebook and other social medias at Frith Guild Podcast. Again, we want to thank the Frith Chronicles Wiki, as that is a great resource. And again, everything is linked down below for the podcast and in YouTube. And I want to remind everybody that we don't have a solid date quite yet for the Urban Fantasy, the time marked Warlock yet for Chamois Stovall. But again, once we get updates, we will certainly include that as well. Scott, was there anything else you'd like to add tonight?
No, I think that closes it.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time.